Good morning and welcome to the Diocese of Youngstown. I'm joined here today by our Vicar General, Monsignor John Zora, Joan Lawson, our Chancellor and Chief Archivist, and Hannah Shaw, our Assistant Archivist. The news that we are about to share today is certainly worthy of a news conference, because in a time and place where there has been decreasing population, economic challenges, business and church closings, I am just so thrilled to share that we as a diocese will soon be breaking ground and building something new to preserve the faith and legacy of the 6 counties of our diocese. If you walk or drive down Wick Avenue, you will see an array of museums integral to the community of Youngstown. I have lived here long enough to know that the people here care greatly about their past, even as we all live in the moment and prepare for a new future. The Diocese of Youngstown is part of a rich history. The clergy, the religious, and the faithful of the diocese, which spans over 80 years, has done their best to live the gospel of Jesus Christ. We stand on the faith, hope, and love of so many of our brothers and sisters. Their memory must be kept alive in the present generation and for years to come. Canon law mandates that a diocesan bishop is to, quote, take care that there is an historical archive in the diocese and that documents have historical value are diligently protected and systematically ordered in it. In the mind of the Church, archives are places of memory of the Christian community and storehouses of culture that enrich our communities. 50 years ago, the Diocese of Youngstown made intentional efforts to preserve the early documents of our history, but we ran out of appropriate space for document storage and have been housing documents in spaces not conducive to their preservation. 4 years ago, when I became Bishop of Youngstown, I made it a priority to protect and to organize the records and the patrimony of the Church. To that end, I established the Archives Office of the Diocese and set about to find a space that allows us to best preserve the materials of the past and keep the memory of our faith community alive. I was driven by the belief that if we ever stop telling our story, we run the risk of becoming irrelevant. I hired a diocesan archivist and assistant archivist, Joan Lawson and Hannah Shaw. They have been working on establishing order while at the same time taking in large collections from closed church buildings. Along with our diocesan leadership, they have also been searching for an appropriate place to permanently house the diocesan collection. I'm here today to announce that following their recommendation and hard work, along with the support of the diocesan consultors and the Diocesan Finance Council, we have identified the campus of the old St. Cyril's and Methodius Church as that place. The church building itself is unique and a very historic structure. The grounds will allow space to build a 2-story facility which will house archival offices and a temperature-controlled vault for documents. The church building will be used for exhibits. Our hope is that this archival campus will become not only a place to preserve our history, but also to celebrate and share our rich history. At this time, I want to give you a sense of what this will all look like. Please allow me to unveil the drawing. There you have it. In our Blessed Mother's great song of praise, otherwise known as the Magnificat, she says, "All generations shall call me blessed." Every generation is integral to the story of our Catholic faith. As Catholics, we have a responsibility to increase our awareness and appreciation of those who have gone before us. Pope Francis said, and I quote, "Knowing and judging past events is the only way to build a meaningful future. memory is necessary for growth. And so, as we move forward together, we must never forget our past. At this time, I want to introduce to you Monsignor John Zora.
On this great day, each and every one of us is reminded of a story of a teacher who told her students that she was going to write on the whiteboard the word church. So she printed the letters CH --CH. And the children informed the teacher that she left out two letters, the U and the R. And the teacher responded to the children, "You're right. You are the center and the heart of the church." The development of the Archival Center allows us to reflect not only on our rich history, but to remind each and every one of us that we're at the heart and the center of the church. The Diocese of Youngstown was established on May 15th, 1943. The year 2025 allows us to remember our 82 years of heritage with gratitude and pride, and to protect and honor the patrimony of this local church. Once completed, our center will be dedicated under the title All Saints Archival Center. Sometimes we only see saints as those canonized by the church. But saints include those living now and those blessed in heaven. Saints are people who always choose the better of the options presented to them. Saints are those who continue to inspire and dedicate their lives to service. The name All Saints Archival Center truly celebrates the countless men and women of the past, the present, and the future, doing what the Lord wants each member of His church to accomplish, to bring forth His kingdom. Many will ask the question, what is the cost of the Archival Center? The estimated cost is $2.7 million. There will be three sources of income to achieve our dream: the reserves of the diocese, grants and foundations dedicated to historical preservation, and private donations. Together, we will continue to write the history of the Diocese of Youngstown, our story of faithfulness to God and to one another.
My name is Joan Lawson, and I'm the Chancellor and Archivist for the Diocese of Youngstown. Lawson is Lawson. And I'm very excited about this moment where we're building a meaningful future by knowing our past. And this site has been chosen as an ideal site for several reasons. One is that the historic structure is magnificent. It is a beacon on a hill as it's approached from the south side, and it is eminently worthy of preservation from the inside with its magnificent windows, its dome, and its walls. The site is also close to the seat of the bishop, which is desirable in a diocesan archive. It is within the educational, research, museum district of our downtown. And the building itself is sound, and generations of worshipers there saw to its good maintenance and preservation. And the campus size perfectly meets our needs. So the historic building, the historic church building, will house exhibit space and public programming. And the biggest artifact in the exhibit is the building itself, because what it expresses about immigrants arriving on our shores, and within a short time of their arrival, the sacrifices they were willing to make to build a magnificent worship space, and how important that was to themselves, to their faith, and to their culture. Then right next to the church building, connected to it, will be this new facility that will house the storage vault for all of the documents of our history, and that vault will be humidity and temperature controlled and light controlled. It will have compact shelving so that we can get 4 times more in a space than we normally would with stationary shelving. And in that building also will be office space, workspace, and space that the public can come in and do research and reading in our history. So all of that will hold tens of thousands of documents from our people, from our bishops, our priests, our vowed religious laymen and women, and all of our lay people who built communities for prayer and worship, for service to the poor and marginalized, for health care, for education, and for family life. This new facility is so exciting, because it will enable us to collect, preserve, and make accessible the records of the Diocese of Youngstown, its people, parishes, churches, institutions, and organizations. It will help to document the historical richness of Northeastern Ohio and will be a storehouse of memory of generations of faith and culture. And we're very excited about it.
The first question I have is, it's sort of a two-part question. First one part would be, when did you first recognize that the archives that we have need better preservation, I guess? And the second part of that is, what is the current state of the archives? Are they becoming weathered? Are they just becoming worn? Things like that. So if you could elaborate on that.
Shortly after I arrived here in Youngstown, my eyes were open to there was a lot to see and to know. And I would say in the first year, it became crystal clear to me that this needed to be a priority. Our archives have been all over the place. We have some stored at Kent State. We have some that are here on site. And of course, there are the parish archives, which we haven't even talked about, but that's another piece to this. We're building a culture of archives in our parishes. Yesterday, we just had a meeting with our deans, and we're going to put a program in place to really become more intentional about that in our parishes. But it's so important as a bishop that I do what I can to protect and preserve the memories, the past, because that's our church goes back to Jesus Christ, and each and every person and event is sacred. It's a part of our identity. It's who we are.
Is there a hopeful date for a groundbreaking, and then again a hopeful date for a completion, or is it still too early in that process?
Well, I always like to have things done yesterday, but in 36 years of being a priest, God has taught me patience, and these things take time. We have been working on this for well over a year, and we're just now at the point where we felt comfortable enough, after checking all the necessary boxes, to become public with it. We certainly wanted to respect the protocols that are part of the city and building codes and what have you. So we did a lot of due diligence, but we're really ready now to roll up our sleeves and get to work. We're facing the reality of winter right now, and the pandemic had put everybody on hold, and so we're really at the mercy of the people that are going to be doing this for us at this time. So we're on the runway, but we're not first for takeoff right now. We still have a little bit of waiting to go.
Last question I have, obviously that's way down the line, but once completed, you envision this as a learning center for students, maybe from the parish schools of religion, for field trips, to bring in different, from all of the different parishes.
This facility, this campus, is for our entire diocese and beyond. It is my hope and prayer that it will be a place that will be visited often as students go on field trips, as families take a day and visit church sites. I think that this is a wonderful opportunity for us all to continue to remember the faith and legacy of our great diocese, which, as you know, includes 6 counties. It's not just Youngstown proper, but it's the 6 counties of Ashtabula, Trumbull, Portage, Columbiana, Mahoning, and Stark.
I do have one more question. I apologize.
Sure.
You mentioned some of the larger type artifacts will go into the actual building that's there now. Can you elaborate on what some of those artifacts might be?
So the facility that we're building is in large part for documents. When you consider that we have over 80 parishes right now, not to mention the schools, I think over 20 schools, and prior to that, there have been schools that have been closed, parishes that have been closed. That's a lot of documents, that's a lot of paper. So this will allow us to preserve the documents. We do have another site of a closed church building which serves as a bigger space for larger artifacts. For example, items that have been taken from closed church buildings. For example, altars, pulpits, presiders' chairs, vessels of the church, chalices, tabernacles. So we have that storehouse too. This is a huge undertaking. And the beauty of it is right now, we are really embracing it. And I think it's going to bode well, not only for our past in honoring it, but certainly for our future, because we're bringing our past with us into the future.